Imagine a classroom where together we can talk, dialogue, conflict, agree, disagree, surrounded by trees and birds, and that pushes us towards life.
It's really important that young academics today are not locked into this modernistic, empirical, analytical way of thinking that is so dominant in our universities. And this new research school is really the beginning of what you might call transformative research or research as activism, where young people are not just writing scientific papers for peer-reviewed journals that are read only by academics, and if you're lucky, because most academic papers are not read by anyone, they might be cited, but they're not really read because people don't have time to read, and everybody's writing, nobody's reading. So everybody's writing for nobody, which is not sustainable in itself. So if we can help and support a new generation of academics who are really connected with communities, who are really willing to engage with communities, to come to know with them the reality that challenges them, and to work with them towards the goals that they want to pursue in life, that are making life more equitable, more fair, but also making it possible to live within the planetary boundaries. That type of researcher, I think, is much needed, and I think it's also important for the survival of academia. If science is no longer relevant for society, if science only contributes to the economy and to innovation, then science is not serving the earth, and ultimately science needs to serve people and planet.
For me, a Living Aulas Research School is one that reflects the people that are a part of it, rather than has a rigid kind of pedagogy. And through doing so, then it becomes a school about people and about ourselves as people, rather than merely just as researchers.
A Living Aulas Research School is a transformative space which brings together academics, practitioners and other change-orientated actors together in one space to talk about, share and experience transformation. We call it a Living Aulas because the space is inherently emergent, organic, spontaneous, and we're talking about processes which are living. And the aula because it's a classroom. We're here to share, to talk, to discuss within an educational environment. We also call it a research school. Research because we're carrying out rigorous investigation. We're looking at profound questions through research questions, innovative methodologies, conceptual frameworks. So this is academic work we're doing at the same time as we see it as a school, because what we're trying to do is generate a new research culture which can be replicated in other contexts around the world.
It's something that has been dreamed in a participatory way. We felt during the whole process of the 3 projects that something was needed around how to do research in another way, and especially for the people that are starting the whole career in the research arena. So we were thinking on how we can come together and discuss that is important, how to do research in a way that it impacts the people that you're doing research with, but also yourself. So how to connect that, how to make that bridge. So how to come together and in a collaborative way make it come true, all those longings from research, from the researcher, but also from the people that are being researched. So action and research come together as one, and also transformation and research come together. we together look at the agenda, what is needed, what do we need to reflect on, and try to exchange ideas, exchange methodologies, exchange ways of analyzing and ways of communicating and socializing our results. And we do it in a way that where the program also reflects on the ethics we want to change in academia.
So I facilitated a workshop at the Living Aulas Research School on the Living Spiral Framework. And this is the framework that I've been working on together with other members of the T-Learning team, where we look at how we can conceptualize transformation in our different research contexts. And this is based on the theory of change model, which is used by organizations to try and understand the change which they're conducting in their different environments. But instead of change, which is often quite externally orientated, transformation has to do within. So during this workshop, we presented this 3D spiral model, and we asked all the participants to create, through drawing, through using wire and plastiline, to create their own spiral of their own transformational process which they're exploring, and to present them to the rest of the group. And through this exercise, we generated some really beautiful metaphors, some beautiful images of transformation in different contexts in the Transformations to Sustainability program.
The workshop that I conducted was looking at various alternatives that's happening. So it started with something that I was involved in India. So looking at what are the alternatives to the mainstream idea of development that is cropping up, what are the various principles, and it's not just ecological but also social justice, talking about equality, talking about diversity of culture and knowledge, looking at political processes, looking at direct democracy and deliberative democracy, looking at economic democracy also, because it's something that we all have to look collectively also see. So these little islands of alternatives no longer remains islands of alternatives. So how do we look at our research in a holistic manner instead of seeing it from one point of view? So there was a small framework that had come out through a lot of confluences in India, and this Living Aulas, I thought maybe I can ask people to push the boundaries of their research by looking at the questions that they have never or they may have encountered but didn't want to address it. So to try and question and have a self-reflection within them as to why is it that they haven't responded to those questions, and what is it that stopped them from addressing these various questions within their research.
First space that I created was with LEAH Temper from ACKnowl-EJ. So I was from T-Learning, she was from ACKnowl-EJ, and our space was to create a reflective opportunity for all the change makers to think about their journey as transgressive activists and change makers and researchers. So we used the hero's journey and looked at what major thresholds they had overcome, when they felt like they'd fallen into the abyss, how they got themselves out of that abyss, which mentors came and supported them. So we went on a collective storytelling journey to tell each other our stories. And what we're doing is we're bringing those together to create a fictional story about 3 young change makers and how they create this new space to understand and change the world, and how they created solidarity and learning between them.
Along with another colleague, I helped facilitate a collaborative paper writing workshop, and it was a really nice space because we're trying to think about how to approach paper writing, which I think for a lot of us is one of like the hardest parts of being a researcher, is then like putting everything together and trying to do it in a way that doesn't feel like we're taking the soul out of the work. And especially when we're working with multiple people, there's ethics around that, and with the multiple authors, like how do we approach these situations and how do we really collaborative create something that's like a shared vision and kind of shared work.
So we were divided into 4 groups, and we had previously discussed what a joint paper would look like. and each group came up with a title for the paper, and then we began working through core ideas.
What are some pearls of wisdom that we can offer as researchers? What are some dreams or some demands that we have for the institutions that we work in? And now we're going into a process of trying to think of what are some of the key questions that we're still really struggling with in this space, and trying to then open it up for other researchers to kind of share and enter the conversation as well. And thinking as well, like after we leave this space where we've been working face to face and collaborating, how from a distance are we going to keep collaborating on this paper together? What are the different mechanisms we can use to keep working on it in a way that feels true to our vision and feels life-giving instead of draining, and where we're working with these tensions and questions of ethics and contributions and all of this as well in a different way.
So it was a beautiful experiment in a new form of collaborative writing that I would definitely repeat.
At the Living Aulas, I offered a workshop which unpacked a little bit the idea of language. My thinking was that we're coming together with people from all over the world, and we counted, I think we had about 15 languages amongst us, and I come from a context where we have many languages as well. 11 of them are officially recognized, although we still have the challenge of the hegemony of English, where in many ways education is seen as happening in English, and it serves to kind of disconnect people from their mother tongue languages and what it is possible to know in their mother tongue languages, which actually isn't even possible to know in English. So what we did was I teamed together with my colleague, great friend, comrade INJAIRU, and we built the process of translating concepts across multiple languages into her workshop on exploring research that is worthy of our longing.
And for us, the methodology that we used to run the session is that we really wanted to find different ways to talk about what's important for us and to reach into the kind of work that we want to do that's worthy of our longing. So the methodology was really about using our sensibilities, using our bodies to think about what it is that we're reaching for, but also working with the earth strategically. So thinking about what earth, air, fire and water have to offer, or what they have to say about the way that we currently work and the way that we hope to. Because if you look at our work as practitioners, often you will find that sometimes we have a lot of fire, but we haven't got enough of what the spirit of water offers, or we've got lots of earth, but we don't invite air. So it was just a question of thinking about where we are as researchers, using our sensibilities and what the earth could offer us in terms of expanding our way of working.
And yesterday we did this good exercise with Dylan. I co-facilitated it with Dylan, where we asked the participants, imagine you have a mochila. What is that very important idea you would want to put into a mochila that will be passed on to another person?
To take all these complex ideas that we've been working on that are very dense and heavy and come from real world experience into a small little 16-page booklet that can be used by activists and people on the ground, that's in simple language, that can be translated easy.
But had some really profound ideas, and some sculptures as well, so you could see people being creative, and it was kind of like Dylan was saying, and which is something Albert Einstein and Richard Feynman have also touched on, which is you have really not mastered something, or you really do not understand something until and unless you are able to explain it to a 5-year-old in the most simplest language or terms. And I think that is what everybody did yesterday. They reduced the academic, most of the time really boring, difficult concepts into very simple ideas that anybody could understand. And I think that was very, very important.
Está sendo levantada com amor e muita fé. Traga seu axé pra igrejinha de saber. Está sendo levantada com amor e muita fé. Traga seu axé pra igrejinha de saber. Está sendo levantada com amor e muita fé.
in this Living Aulas was more than amazing. It was so deep and thoughtful and transformative for myself and for the processes in which I am involved in, that I would really like everyone to be part of it and embracing the diversity and creating processes with so much care and love.
The Living Aulas tries to transgress that aspect of research and tries to include more people, ensuring that research is not just for academia. Anyone and everyone can do research, and the school aims to do that.
Me parece fantástico la posibilidad de unir jóvenes de diferentes lugares que están juntos investigando diversas formas de poder transformar la educación. Desde ahí me parece fascinante cada uno de los casos, ver lo que ha sucedido, la inspiración mutua que sucedió y todo lo que puede venir hacia adelante a través de empoderar a los jóvenes para realizar los cambios realmente como generación que les corresponde manifestar.
What I feel like I'm really taking away from this is that my creativity feels like it's been really reawakened, and the kind of the special things that I feel like I can bring to the research process has been reawakened, and I've been reminded of that. And I have this network now with these other researchers that I feel like we can kind of share and support each other through these processes to do research in a way that really speaks to us, and that is something that we want to be part of, that we really want to, live with on a day-to-day basis. So that's very exciting.
So this young research school, I think, is one of these roots that is sprouting through the T-Learning project and through the Pathways network and the ACKnowl-EJ network. These three networks are pooling together some of, I think, the world's most talented people that can really make a difference.
The research school is expanding and transforming, which is a good sign. It's coming together more now between the three transformative knowledge networks. So ACKnowl-EJ, T-Learning and Pathways have really come together to create something new. And what we're dreaming together and creating is a free pluriversity for stuck humans. And it's a global space that already exists, that exists through Zoom conversations, WhatsApp groups. It exists through these tiny books. It exists through our papers and our websites and our actions, trying to transform and transgress these stuck spaces that humans have found themselves in.
Come join us at the Living Aulas Research School to learn from other people and to help us create a new research culture which is better for the environment, which is more reflexive, and which can help create a better world.
Estamos hechos de bendiciones, estamos hechos de primavera, estamos hechos de color brillante, en esta memoria de la luz que somos. Estamos hechos de bendiciones, estamos hechos de primavera, estamos hechos de color brillante, en esta memoria de la luz que somos. Estamos hechos de las agüitas, estamos hechos de las mareas, estamos hechos de todo espíritu, de todo lo que brilla, nace, corre y canta. Estamos hechos de las agüitas, estamos hechos de las mareas, estamos hechos de todo espíritu, de todo lo que brilla, nace, corre y canta. Estamos hechos de piedra y polvo, estamos hechos de sal y tiempo.